Okay guys, I recently had somebody in the comments ask me that they wanted to see underneath the BRX418, and I thought, you know, that's a valid question, and I needed to get under here and kind of change the blades, rotate them around anyhow, because they've taken quite a beating when you get into the rocks and stuff like that. And that's one of the reasons that I really kind of prefer this as opposed to a mulching head, which I would still like to get a mulching head. But so I think this thing weighs about 1,800 pounds. I can't remember, I'll have to look it up. But anyway, if you look underneath it, you'll see that, you know, a big majority of the weight is right here, and there is a lot of mass that is rotating. It takes this thing a considerable amount of time to slow down, but you can kind of see underneath here, and there's a guard right here around the front, and I've really not had any issues with getting, even though I've been in wires and fence wires and stuff, getting things tangled up. So I don't know if this guard helps you know, when you're running in, to keep from stuff like that happening, and just kind of keeps everything underneath. But you can see the blades. This is when they're out. Sorry, I've got my impact in there right now. So yeah, the force just spins them out, and so this one's retracted right now, but you can see that's we can put a tape on it, but that looks over 1/2 inch to me. But anyway, so this is kind of what it looks like underneath, and I'm going to switch the blades and kind of keep it with my other videos because I'm not a big editor. I'll just kind of tell you the process and what you got to do. But there's a plate right here, and you can see the 3 bolts that are in there, and those bolts are countersunk on the other side, so you don't have to put anything on the other side to hold them. But they're 28 millimeter, and let me see, it's a 15 millimeter to take the plate off. So you'll remove the plate, take it off, and then you'll take these nuts loose. And so I'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll flip it over. One other thing to keep in mind is when you've got this machine up and you're working on it, make sure that you've got it braced just for safety. And still, I wouldn't be climbing around underneath the thing, and I'm not really going to have to. So once I take these loose, then I'll spin the whole thing around, and I'll flip the blade over, and then I'll tighten it back up. But we'll kind of talk you through the process, so I'm going to get started right now, okay? Okay, so I start doing this, and of course it starts pouring the rain, but I've loosened up all the bolts. There's 4 cutting blades on there, and I just wanted to give you like a couple ways to press the bolts through. And I'm hoping the rain didn't get on the camera lens. But so one method you can do is I left the nuts where they're barely on. You can put a pry bar through here and press them down. The other method, which I think would be a much easier method, but I've got the what I need at the other shop. But you've got a long, what I always called a punch, but it'll be flat on the end and round. And so what you can do is stick it through this hole and stick it right on top of the bolt and tap it a couple of times with the hammer, and it'll come out. But and so you can see down here that I kind of tried that method with this flat one, and it worked, and it's easier than getting the pry bar in there. But so that's kind of where we're at right now, and just time wise, you know, so far getting them loose, it's only taken me just a few minutes. I think I'm about 9 minutes in, but I'm using the Milwaukee Impact, and they're on pretty tight, I'll say that. So they've got them torqued pretty good. I'll have to look at the specs on it when I go to tighten them back up. Okay, after taking one of these off, I'm not even going to suggest using the pry bar. I ended up finding something to where I could knock the bolts out with. It's just so much easier to just take something, leave the nut on, and just tap down on the bolt through the opening back there. But you're going to find 2 washers on each one of these, and I want you to notice something. This washer is machined with much finer grooves than this one, so keep that in mind when you're putting it back together. If you take it apart and you don't notice that and you're wondering how these go, so the core screws will go down, and then I'm telling you that backwards. The core screws will be up, and so the fine grooves will go down, and then this other washer will set in the core grooves. So the core grooves will be touching, and the fine grooves will be on the base of the top top plate, and then on the bottom of your nut. So it'll sit just like I have it here. So when you put it back together, you'll put it fine grooves down, and then lay the core grooves down on top of the core grooves, and then your nut will sit on top of it like that. And then this little puck goes right in the middle. But so I'm going to go ahead and flip this one over and put it back into position. So let's see if I can somehow get the camera situated to where I can do that. Just looking here, so I don't really have a good place to hold the camera, so I'll maybe get it into position, and then I'll start the camera back up where you can see it. Okay, I wanted to pull the manual out and let you guys see this, and I want you to see me putting one of these on. So I'm going to wear the headgear and try to do point of view. I hate doing this because it doesn't ever seem to work out very well, but anyway, pull your manual out and just take a peek at it. So this is a little service interruption here, but so you know, your hub oil change, 500 service hours or 1 year. Check your bolts weekly. Hub oil level, check it every week. Daily, inspect the blades and the mounting brackets. But again, just a little public service announcement. If you're not capable of doing this sort of thing, or don't do it on a regular basis, don't do it. You know, Caterpillar recommends taking the mower off the machine, disconnecting all the hydraulic lines, and jacking this thing up and working under it that way. Maybe they've got a bay or something they can do it, but I don't have anything like that. So do this at your own risk. I'm not telling you how to do it. I'm showing you how I do it, and I would recommend that you follow Caterpillar's recommendations. And the next time I do this, I'm going to have some better braces, and hopefully it won't be raining on me. But anyway, we're going to try to give this a go from point of view. One other tool that will be helpful is having something like this out to line the bolt holes up. So I will say that, so that'd be a helpful tool to have. But let's go ahead and try this point of view and see how it works out. So I did put some grease on here, even though Caterpillar doesn't recommend it. They don't have any recommendation on that. So what I'm going to do is put the bushing in, and I'm going to go ahead and grab a bolt Have that handy. I'll use it to hold the bushing in place. Kind of look and line my holes up prior to sliding it in. Now I'm looking from the bottom. And got one lined up, ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and stack these washers. Remember, the smooth side or the finer machine side goes out. Put this next bolt in. And I'll put the final bolt in. Now what I've been doing, and this thing is really balanced extremely well, but I'm rotating it around to where it's past the guard, and I'm reaching under and putting my washers and nuts on and staying clear of the machine. Yeah, my arm's under there, but I'm hoping that hopefully I'd be able to get it out, but rather lose an arm than lose your life, right? So always operate in a safe manner and take the proper safety precautions. It's not worth it. And of course, this one's not wanting to go on, but all right. So that's how you put them back on. So I will finish up, but you can see kind of how you do it. I think this is my last one right here. But again, so what I'll do is when I'm taking it off as well, rotate it around to where I can get to it. And then again, stay clear of the machine or the mower deck. Taking my nuts off. There's the washers. That's washers for the second one. Washers for the third. And I've had to do this on a couple of them. And some of them just fell out. But rotated it back around. And now I'm not afraid of getting wet, but I've got this camera out here. Probably won't look good with a wet lens. And I'm going to have to take this one back around and knock it out. Kind of what I was telling you earlier. And I need to put the nut back on there, but oh, and the sound of that bang just reminded me that I measured those, and they are 5/8 of an inch thick. So it's a pretty heavy piece. But I'll go ahead and get this thing buttoned up, and we'll talk about putting them back on and torquing them here in just a minute. Okay, I'm going to wrap this video up with just a couple of things. One tip, if you do choose to do this, make sure that you torque the blades as you go. I wouldn't snug one blade down, spin it around, snug another down, and then go back and torque them. I think you're just risking missing a blade and getting it torqued, and also just going to take yourself more time. So it calls for 273 foot-pounds plus or minus 37 pounds. So it's going to require a pretty big torque wrench. As you can see here, I've got a this is either a 42 or a 48 inch torque wrench. I use it on the semi and on the dump truck. It's a 3/4 inch torque wrench. Got it off of Amazon. Not terribly expensive. You need something to line your bolts up with, something to punch them out with, hammer, 28mm socket, probably a pry bar, 15mm socket to take the cover off, and 1/2 inch impact gun. I really never leave home without this thing. When we take a trip or anything like that, this is always in the truck. I keep it with me all the time. And if you don't have a torque wrench, I can't really tell you how many seconds to leave it on there to get 273 foot-pounds on these, but I have it on setting number 3 and left it on for, I don't know, 5 to 10 seconds. I don't really know. And I was pretty close when it came down to torquing it. I didn't have to even put a full turn on the nuts. So another thing to keep in mind is I would, as Caterpillar recommends, check your tightness daily, especially after you change them. You don't want them to work loose. So definitely keep a check on your blade tightness. But hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you found it helpful. If you're mechanically inclined and it is a good day, not raining, and you're trying to figure out what size of everything you need, if you watch this video and find out the size tools you need and what you need to have out, I would expect this is probably a 30-minute job turning these blades over. So really not that bad at all, and a whole lot easier than changing the teeth on your bucket. But please subscribe to this channel if you find this information helpful, and thanks for watching.